Hi YouTube! So this is week 4, and this is also my 4th video. And if you've been watching, you know that I'm just doing weekly updates on my Weight Watchers weight loss progress. And I just wanted to update everybody this week that I weighed in on Wednesday, so yesterday, and I had a 0.2 loss. So that's what I kind of wanted to make this video about today, why I had a 0.2 loss, and I was saying in my last video that I was hoping for at least a 2-pound loss, and you know, leading up to the meeting, I kind of had an idea that I wasn't going to lose the weight that I thought I would lose, just because some things this week were a little bit more things were a little bit different this week than they were the previous week. So I just kind of wanted to be able to review my tracker and see some things that maybe I really need to improve on in order for this week to be a better week than last week. So something that stands out to me immediately is the top of the tracker, where you have your points plus allowance. Last week I used pretty much all my points, my extra points, and that's an additional 49 points. So the previous weeks when I was losing 2 pounds, 3 pounds, I was not using all these points. And I know that they're there to allow for some flexibility, but I feel like I kind of abused them this week, and because of that I only had a 0.2 loss, and it was disappointing, but you know, I'm trying to think for the long term, and I know that any loss is a great loss. I do feel like I kind of wasted a whole week when it could have been a better and more successful week, but this week I have some certain goals and commitments that I'm going to stick to in order to have a better week. So I'm hoping this week, I'm not hoping, I want, and I'm going to get a 2 to 3 pound weight loss. This week I am not going to use one of those bonus points. I'm going to strictly stick to my points. I usually I am allotted 40 points, and that's what I'm going to stick to for the day. And I'm going to consider those points not even there, because I used so many of them last week and I see what it did. So just to review some of the things that I ate last week, just so maybe this might help out some people, if you're wondering, you know, what shouldn't I eat if I want to have a large weight gain, or I'm sorry, loss. But yeah, you would have a large weight gain if you ate these things, because I didn't lose very much. So I noticed that I was eating a lot of carbohydrates. For breakfast I was eating 2 pieces of toast, and sometimes around lunchtime I was eating another 2 pieces of toast, and then I put butter on it. And by the time you're done with 2 pieces of toast and a thing of butter, you've already eaten 6 points, and 6 points is a lot, and there's other things that you could do with 6 points that are way more satisfying, way more filling than 2 pieces of toast with some butter on it. So I'm going to eliminate the carbohydrates this week. Not completely. I'm still going to have a piece of toast for breakfast, but I'm not going to have 2 pieces of toast. I'm not going to use as much butter, and for lunch I'm not going to consume more bread. And then I was eating a lot of rice, and I think it's just the carbohydrates that were really getting to me. And I had mentioned in the last video that I found out how bad hummus was for you, because it's one of those foods that Weight Watchers lists as an indulgence, and I was continuing to eat it. So this week in Weight Watchers, I found it really helpful, this meeting. It was about portion sizes and how we can be maybe a little bit overly confident when it comes to measuring our foods, and we should really rely on some tools in order to measure our food and not our eyes. And I'm really taking this advice into consideration, and I'm starting to be more diligent about my measuring. I find myself just kind of eyeballing things like, oh, this looks like a slab of butter, or this looks like a tablespoon. And, you know, when you really evaluate what you're giving yourself for portions, I think you really find out that you're probably giving yourself way too much. My 1 tablespoon was more like 2 tablespoons. So just little things like that, I mean, that adds up, because 2 tablespoons of salad dressing is 4 points, but 4 tablespoons is 8 points. So, I mean, how much are you really eating? And then I'm going to really try to lay off the hummus, because it's not helping me. You know, maybe I'll treat myself to hummus once in a while, but this tracker for last week has like 3 days worth of hummus in it. So I don't need to be eating hummus 3 times a week. Just carbs in general, I had a flatbread pizza, so carbohydrates, and, you know, I had probably more drinks than I needed to have. Like I said in my other video, I do usually go out before dinner to grab a glass of wine or something before dinner, but some of these days here I had too many drinks. We'll just leave it at that. I had too many drinks, and I need to cut back on that. I need to cut back on the carbohydrates, the drinks, and stick with more filling, satisfying food that I'm going to get more satisfied from and not have such a big impact in calories. So maybe, you know, it's really glamorous to say, but maybe I have a big stack of carrots instead of that extra piece of toast, because I'm going to feel just as filled, just as satisfied, but I'm not going to have the calories and the carbohydrates that's involved with toast. And, you know, I ate cheese a couple times this week. I know cheese is pretty heavy, you know, as far as calories and fat content. And I think the key really is just, the carbohydrates, the bread, the pita, the flatbread, the crackers, the hummus, everything that has a lot of carbs in it. I really need to lay off it, and that's my goal for this week. So 2 things. This week I am not going to use my extra points, because I feel like I used too many last week and it resulted in not the loss that I wanted to see. And I'm also going to make sure that I lay off some of the carbohydrates. I don't need 4 slices of bread a day, so I'm going to cut back. Usually for breakfast I'll have two pieces of bread and some eggs. So instead this morning I had 1 piece of toast, and for lunch I am not going to eat bread. So with these 2 things, I feel like, along with measuring, of course, I think that next week I'm going to have a much more successful weight loss, and I am really hoping next week to kind of make up for some, you know, lost time, and hopefully get in a 2 to 3 weight loss. And I will report back, and maybe I'll do an update in the middle of the week to let you know how I'm doing. But if I don't, I will do another video after my weigh-in on Wednesday. My weigh-ins are always on Wednesday, and I'm always going to do a video. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm not pleased with my 0.2 weight loss, but I know that I can do better, and 0.2 is really not where I want to be at right now, because I have a lot of weight to lose, and of course I have a lot of videos to make, and this is week 4, and my total weight loss up until this point is 6.9 pounds. So if you like my videos and you like listening to me ramble, Please subscribe and like my videos and share them, and I will see you next week after my weigh-in on Wednesday. Thanks, YouTube.